Hello, this is Cheryl Helmke, and this is my presentation on patterns and collaborative change. So here is the table of contents. I have an introduction, I have a brief elaboration, my process, how I tackled everything, my affinity diagram, my mind map, and the application. How do we apply this new information that we have learned? And a conclusion to tie everything together. So what is whole system collaborative change? Most people have no idea what this means or the ability to describe it. Whole system collaborative change is based on two powerful premises: high involvement and a systemic approach to improvement. But what does that even mean? It means we have to get everyone involved so the people, functions, and ideas are systemically leveraged. And even after these facts, you might still be lost in what all this means. Well, ultimately, the outcome of all this is dramatic, sustainable change. But why does it work? Science has proven that you are more likely to be involved and work hard for something that you believe in and helped create. So now I'm going to walk you through how whole system collaborative change can be achieved. For this assignment, I used the 8 essential elements of invitation, purpose, system, experience, technology, values, and mastery. Those 8 elements were then applied to 11 change methods, 10 of which were assigned: abundant community, future search, graphic facilitation, T groups, appreciative inquiry, World Cafe, applied improvisation, collaborative arts, liberating structures, and open space. For my additional change method, I chose genuine contact because it felt that it aligned with my beliefs and goals I want to accomplish after graduating from this program. So in the beginning, none of this made sense to me. I felt like I was a novice skier and I was accidentally dropped off at the top of the hardest course possible. I had no idea what direction I was going and had all these crazy emotions. I was unclear, bewildered, distracted, puzzled, confused, and just lost. And I ended up diving into this project the same way I have for years. I pulled up the collaborative change library and started reading through all the change methods. Only it wasn't working. Nothing made sense and I couldn't really see any obvious patterns. I needed a new game plan. So I took a step back and tried a different approach. My process started by defining each of the 8 design elements with a mini mind map. Once I understood all the elements, I assigned each change method a note color and pulled out information while reading through them. After reading through the methods, I placed my element mind maps at the top of the poster boards and grouped the notes according to the elements. And while patterns definitely emerged, I also noticed some very unique concepts for each method. So I created slides that contained the unique points for each method and placed the commonalities in a column on the poster board. So what is affinity diagramming? An affinity diagram is a tool used to organize ideas, data, and find natural patterns or relationships. So here's my final affinity diagram. As you can see, the 8 essential elements are listed across the top. And along the left-hand side, I have the 11 change methods. And there are 2 additional rows that identify the common concepts that I found. Once my diagram was complete, I moved on to the next step, creating a mind map utilizing the information from my affinity diagram. So initially I had no idea what a mind map was. The picture in my head was exactly what you see here, a map with strings connecting points. In reality, though, a mind map is a diagram used to visually organize information and show relationships originating from a central topic. So here's my completed mind map, and it's a little hard to read because it's so spaced out. So I'm going to zoom in on a few elements that really stuck out to me and helped me wrap my head around the information. First, we'll look at invitation, which can describe a challenge or a need, possibly even growth, personal or professional. Some unique concepts are a citizen mindset and a holistic approach, while common concepts were growth or addressing a need. Now let's take a look at system, which is who do we invite to come and think through this dilemma? A common theme was to be inclusive with unique traits such as no limits to the number of people or bring in the people most affected by the situation. Finally, I'm going to focus in on values, are the core principles of the method. Those commonalities were authenticity, inclusiveness, and communication. So now we have all this learned information and new processes that we can utilize, but how do we apply it? How do we use this technique to complete that circle of whole system collaborative change? I admit, after finishing my affinity diagram and mind map, I was unsure of how to proceed. I had a couple of ideas, but nothing concrete. And it wasn't until Sunday of residency weekend and a thought started to emerge while listening to the panel discussion. But the light was still very dim. But after a one-on-one personal conversation, a couple days later, a full-on beacon of light emerged and lit up my path to an aha moment. And that aha moment was inclusive dialogue. The conversation or dialogue is the key and a recurring theme throughout every single change method. They all involve dialogue, but in order to make that dialogue meaningful, you have to include the right people. To create sustainable whole system collaborative change, you have to include everyone. You have to include the leaders, mid-level employees, and the everyday people who are the heart and soul of organizations. Bring all these people together. Have the important conversations, especially the hard conversations. Write down ideas, thoughts, and observations. Take those. Create an affinity diagram. Pull the information from the affinity diagram and create a mind map. Find the direction that will work. And finally, create an instructive visual on how your organization can achieve sustainable whole system collaborative change. The tools are all there. You just have to implement them. At first, I truly thought this journey was going to break me. I was going to ski down that mountain and find every tree along the way. But while I may have hit some bumps, like trying to memorize the change methods, I finally navigated my way through the information using affinity diagramming and mind mapping and found my pathway down. I learned so much on this journey that will serve me in the future. I now have a reference tool that I created for the change methods to pull out and use. I didn't expect that, and I'm really grateful for it. I also found a light which led me down a path, and I'm excited to take that out in the world and use organization development in communities. In conclusion, this journey was a roller coaster ride of emotions and learning. But I'm grateful for the learning opportunity and the new tools that I gained from it to use in the future. Here are the references that I used. And here are links for the materials that I created to complete this assignment. I used Google Maps, Lucid app, and Canva. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation.